if you're in uni studying a business degree and finding out that it's not what you expected, then this is exactly for you. Because 5 years ago, I graduated high school not knowing what direction that I wanted to follow, but I ended up by 22 years old becoming a 1% earner in Australia. And now I give back and I leverage all of my resources that I've been able to create to host completely free events for future leaders in Australia, right? And today I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step path that I followed to go from a lost high school graduate to building out my career, to becoming a 1% earner, and ultimately building out my own business and giving back and supporting the community, just like I know that you want to do as well. My co-founder Isaac Wright and I met in high school and we're extremely similar. We're going towards the same goal. We wanted to run our own business. We wanted to make real business impact, and we ultimately loved problem solving, but we weren't quite sure on what path to go down. You see, for him, he went down the university route. He got scholarships to university. He did well in high school. And he wanted to learn more about business, so he went down university. For me, I was never going to go to university. I'd fight anyone on it. I just couldn't see the value in it. I wanted to build real experiences first, but I didn't know how to get there or what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until we both found the same path that has ultimately allowed us to both create multiple six-figure incomes, as well as give back and support, be in a position where we can support the community. So for the next couple of minutes, I want to break that down for you and really apply on how you can follow it step by step to ultimately get you out of the position that you are now and get you into the position of the future that you know you want to be. Because for most of you listening to this, you probably followed Isaac's path. You went to university, you're studying business, maybe you're studying IT, maybe you're learning it, maybe you're somewhat enjoying it, you're probably working a part-time job simply just to survive, and is this typical? Well, it's the normal path that university promotes, and it's a typical path that most people go down, but it doesn't make it the right path. And this is one of the things that Isaac had to question, because in his second year of university, he basically hit a wall, and he said, I am sick of this. I'm sick of learning basically nothing. I wanted to get my hands on and build real businesses, build real systems, build something that actually matters, solve problems that make a difference. And he said to himself, Isaac said to himself at this time, I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to drop out. And I said, well, look, listen, why don't you come over and you talk to me, you talk to Dad, because what I've been able to create through going directly into the workforce I've seen really awesome results, because he was still working at Audi. He was working a part-time job simply to survive. And he would, say, oh, I'm working on Sunday. This is going to be great. I'm going to make so much money, when in reality, it's not that much money. He's barely just getting by. And the thing is that this was the typical pathway. It was the only thing that he had to compare to. And compared to his friends, Audi paid a little bit more, so he was technically above everyone else, right, in terms of how much cash he had. But in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that much, because you see, when I graduated high school, I got my Microsoft certificates because I didn't want to go to uni, and I also didn't want to go to TAFE, and I knew that in order to create the life that I wanted, I had to learn. I had to go into a career that would actually give me transferable skills that I could then leverage into my own business one day. And that's exactly what I decided to do. And the pathway that I followed was following what Microsoft has laid out for me. And when I heard that, I'm like, Microsoft, isn't this the third largest? I think it was the first largest or the biggest company in the world back then, or something like that. And Microsoft has their own certificates. They have their own applications that you can get certified in and that you can develop for other businesses. You can build apps, build systems, build automations, build AI for other businesses. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I want to do that. And that's where I went and I got my Microsoft certificates first. As soon as I got my certificates before I graduated high school. And as soon as I graduated high school, I went directly into the workforce the next year, right? So I graduated 2020. 2021 January, I was in the workforce. I got my first role, and that ultimately allowed me. And within 13 months, I was making $100,000 a year, right? Versus Isaac, who was still in his university degree. And I ended up following that, and because of how much money I was making, how fast I learned, and how simple and how much I actually enjoyed working in that sort of environment where you're building real systems, you're making a difference to businesses, you understand how the internal mechanisms of a business works, you're all working together as a team, right? You're not just pen pushing, you're not just doing the shit the movies look like, right? They make office work look shit. It's nothing like that at all. It's being able to create new things, create apps, make a difference, getting problems where you're like, oh my God, I don't even know if this is even possible, to then researching and finding a solution and coming up with a way that's like, wow, I did that, I made it work. And that's that whole feeling that we get to do every single day. And when I was explaining what I do to Isaac, Isaac was like, dude, I would love to do that. How do I get started? And that's when for him, he went down a different route because he was already 2 years into uni, right? And I think the biggest thing for you, because you are in the same position, you're in university, you are 2 years in, is for Isaac, he could have followed the typical university route and, got his 4-year degree, still working at Audi at the time, would have had to, as soon as he got that degree, apply for some internships, apply for a couple of jobs, probably work for free for quite a few months to see if he's going to get experience, and then start at the bottom of the barrel, start in the intern or the graduate program, making, $50,000-$60,000 a year, base salary, working, a lot, and on like the bottom of the barrel team, right? And I looked at that, I'm like, look, Isaac, well, like, if that's the typical path that you're going to go down in the 4 years, what everyone else is going to follow, well, why don't you just start learning the Microsoft stuff that I'm doing in 2 years? And that's where we got Dad involved, Ross, my father, and he came in and sort of mentored Isaac and showed him that, look, Isaac, okay, obviously you're doing a double degree, you're still doing part-time work, you're super busy at the moment. However, right, there is no excuses. You're going to go in and get this work done, and you're going to study and get certified in the Microsoft ecosystem, right? And he got his PL 900 certificate. And when he did that, he ultimately completed that certificate and got 2 interviews with, I think one of them was a 9-figure firm. I think one of them was an 8-figure business as well. And he ended up taking the job offer from the $100 million business at the time. He went in there, worked on the Gold Coast, beautiful office space, overlooking the water, and he freaking loved it. He thrived. He was solving problems. He was creating solutions. He was creating new apps. He was making a difference. It was everything that he thought university was, but inside his job, inside his work, and he was able to do that on part-time whilst he was still studying university. And I think the key thing here as well is that rather than working at Audi, rather than working a casual job, he was able to, that meant nothing in the future, that gave him no transferable skills. He was able to work in a career that was the future, right? This is AI, this is systems, this is the whole future of the industry, of the world, right? And he was able to work in there and see like, holy hell, this is what I was missing. Because then he was able to pair his university degree and everything that I was learning into understanding how the business that he was working for, the 9-figure firm, how it was actually operating, how it was managing its team, how it was leading, how it was running, how it was helping its clients. And everything that he learned there ultimately got him to the point where as soon as he did graduate university, instead of following the internship route, going into the graduate program, starting at the bottom of the barrel and having to make his way up over years and years of progress, he just skipped all of that and went straight into a $100,000 career as soon as he graduated high school, as soon as he went full time. And this is the biggest lesson that we've gotten from university and from speaking with thousands of future leaders, most of whom who have gone through the university system, is that it doesn't work. And most people decide, instead of following the internship, they ended up just leaving. I mean, I'm sure you might know people who have graduated and just still they just went full time in their Audi job or their casual part-time job that they're working for. They just went full time in that. Well, if you got a university degree, you got to make the most of it. If you wanted to study business, you wanted to learn how real businesses work, you wanted to solve real problems, and you got to be able to do that. And this is exactly what it gave Isaac, exactly what it's given me. And now we've both been able to grow, and we're working with inside the same team. What I would argue, as always, is Australia's best consultants. They were a small startup when I joined. I got to get startup experience on how they scaled, how now they're at 20, 30 employees, and ultimately like work inside the Queensland government, which is where we're working right now, and understand how different levels of businesses operate. And this has all led us to the point where we now have the transferable skill that no matter what business we decide to go down, no matter what business we decide to create ourselves, we know that it'll work because we have the systems, we have the processes, and we understand the engine that makes a business run. Because again, after speaking with people at the Future Leaders Summit, they constantly look at businesses from the external shell, and they don't actually understand the internal mechanisms that make a business work. And it's that engine. It's like, I'll give you an example. It's like trying to build a car, and you're just looking at the car. Let's just say a Toyota, right? You're looking at the external of a car. You're like, okay, I need doors, I need some metal around it, I need a couple of windows, and I need some wheels, right? But if you add all that, and you can create that yourself, and you can scavenge all the materials that you need, try and get it to work, try and put the metal box with the wheels on together. But you're missing the key ingredient. You're missing the freaking engine, the internal workings of a car. How are you going to make a car work if you don't understand how to create an engine? And this is the thing that people at our events are missing, is they know how to build the car. They know how to create a 10K a month business, right? Or at least, the lucky ones do. The very few do, right? They know how to create a 10K a month business, which, by the way, if you're thinking 10K a month is a lot, it's not. Because that's not profit, that's not take-home money, that's not in your bank money. You're paying if you have staff, if you're paying your product fees, you're paying software fees, you're paying all these fees. So you end up taking home probably less than you're making right now, right? But 10K a month, let's just use that example, right? You're able to create a 10K a month business, but how do you scale to 50K? How do you scale to 100K? How do you scale to $1 million a month, a business that really is the level of business that you're wanting? Because I know you're not just looking to settle down here. You might think here is going to be good, and as soon as you achieve it, you go, okay, it's not, I want to achieve more, and I'm there with you. But the thing is that you can't scale. You can't build a full working car if you only look at the external. You only look at the external of business, right? It won't operate the way you want it to. You have to understand the engine. You have to understand the systems. You have to understand the mechanisms that make a business work in order to scale. And again, some people can do that the hard way. They can take years and decades of trial and error and trying to do it themselves, or you can do it the fast way, which is the way that we've done it, which is by understanding systems first and then being able to leverage everything that we've created, right? And ultimately all the money that we've been able to, and the resources, right? Because resources isn't just money, it's also the network that we've been able to create through this career, right? We've been able to create all that. We've been able to create an ecosystem where any opportunity that we now pursue, that we now create, we know we can make the most of it, and we know that it can work because we understand how business works and we're not just trial and erroring it. Does that make sense? So I want to leave you with this. If you are a university student, go out there, get a specific set of skills. A university degree is no longer, it doesn't give you what it promises anymore. It used to promise that you'd get a job, you'd get a good career, and you'd probably stay in that career for 40 years, right? That's not the reality anymore, right? Times have changed, AI is coming out, the whole ecosystem is changing. You're looking for different things than what the old university used to promise. And what you're looking for is you're looking to study uni, probably start somewhere and ultimately run your own business one day. But you can't do that without understanding how real business works. And you can't start at the bottom of the barrel. You can't do meaningless work. You can't do the work that you wanted to avoid. You have to start doing something that you love, something that makes a real difference, that solves real problems, that you actually enjoy. And that's exactly what the Power Platform Consultancy was for us. Studying the PL 900, probably studying the PL 200, understanding how the entire Microsoft ecosystem works, and then getting a role in that career. Because when you can do that, you understand how to create leverage, how to build your skills, how to create your resources, so then ultimately you can use all that to create your own business. And that's the pathway that we followed. It's a pathway that we've been able to follow for me to get into a position where I'm a 1% earner in Australia, run Australia's largest events for future leaders. Hundreds and hundreds of people come to them every year, or 1,000 people come to them every year, and ultimately building our own business. So if that's you, you're sick and tired of making excuses and you want to make a real difference in the world, you want to make a real impact, you want to start working towards your future, then click that video right there. That'll teach you everything you need to know about the Microsoft ecosystem, about the PL 900, and where you can go and study and learn all of that for free. See you soon.